Has anybody ever heard of OS? Not the operating system, object sexuality. You know, people who fall in love with inanimate objects, like buildings or statues. As puppeteers, we bring objects to life, and people believe that they're alive. But how far off would it be to actually fall in love with an inanimate object? Today, I'll be showing a segment from my new play, Object of Her Affection, about a woman who falls in love with inanimate objects and her lifelong search for love that is just outside her reach. In this scene, Andrea, age 26, is still in mourning over the loss of her twin boyfriends, Emery and Yamasaki, the World Trade Towers. Yes, I'm going there. And she has found solace in the structure of her new lover, Strauss. I know she looks like a dumpy dyke, but there's a lot more to her story. Ashes to ashes, rust to rust. After Emery and Yamasaki fell, I swore off buildings. It was too risky. They were just targets. I was only 26 and already a 9/11 widow. Shortly after I moved back with my grandma, I saw a documentary on San Francisco, and I just couldn't stop myself when her beam of golden orange melted my broken heart. I had recently come out to my grandma, and she was handling it as best as she could. Grandma, I have something to tell you.
Andrea, I want you to know that I love you no matter what, and that we already know that you're a lesbian.
Well, not exactly. I had visited Strauss once before, and we were planning on getting married.
Please, Andrea, just don't go on TV and make a big deal about it like those people from that BS group or whatever it is.
OS Grandma, object sexuals. She didn't totally understand, but she was trying to be supportive.
But you're the end of the line. At least hold on to the family name.
I thought Andrea Lowe, hyphen Golden Gate sounded clunky, so I picked the architect's name and went with Andrea Lowe Strauss. The wedding plans were moving along nicely, but I was having the hardest time finding a plus-size wedding dress in international orange. And I should have known something was up when I started walking on Strauss that afternoon. I didn't feel the same airy bounce to my step that I normally did. It's not your fault, baby. You were just having a bad day. Strauss was seasoned. She had been in a lot of relationships, but I sensed a profound sadness. You know you can't control other people. She always took it so personally when someone used her to take their own life, and that was happening a lot these days. Strauss just wanted to bring people together, and so she did. When I was halfway across, I noticed a woman wrapped around her railing. Please don't jump. There's so much to live for. Andrea? It was Marcy, the moderator of Object Chat, an online OS support group and an aspiring art star. We had Skyped a couple times and she became my sponsor. Marcy Chrysler Hoover was a star a trust fund baby who could afford to travel the globe pouring it up with her top 10 list of architectural icons. Marcy, I thought you were on a date with Big Ben. Oh, Ben, he's so well hung. Not now, Marcy. What are you doing here? My flight got canceled. What are you, my mother? Besides, I thought you were stuck in your grandma's basement. Marcy was deeply conflicted. Despite her Mormon upbringing, she absolutely despised the design of the tabernacle. And she never talked about sleeping with fences or municipal buildings. They were beneath her. Many of her marriages had gotten covered by Architectural Digest. Some who left Object Chat wondered if she even had OS, or if she was just faking it to further her career and get a reality show. Either way, Marcy assured me she had no feelings for Strauss. I trusted you. She's a goddamn bridge, Andrea. For Christ's sake, she just wants to connect people. It's not natural to force her to be monogamous. You knew we had a special connection. How could you do this to me? You knew we had a special connection. Andrea, I think you're overreacting a bit. Strauss didn't say anything. She just stood there weathering the emotions, and I was having a Category 5 mood swing. You knew we were planning on getting married. How could you do this to me? Oh, you always have to make it about you, don't you, Andrea? Strauss, please don't listen to her. You don't fucking own her, Andrea. She belongs to the world. What are you gonna do, Andrea? Push me off? You don't think people won't see? It'd be real easy to make it look like a suicide. Strauss acted like nothing out of the ordinary was happening as cars slowed down and people began to look. You get the fuck off her railing now! Get off her, you crazy dyke, or you're gonna have us both killed! Oh, my face! You know, you should really get that looked at, hon. Don't fucking patronize me, Marcy. As your sponsor, I really think you need to step away from the bridge, Andrea. You just wait until everybody on Object Chat hears about this. Oh, well, I can suspend your account in like 2 clicks. Besides, how are you gonna have a relationship with her and not get jealous when thousands of people travel over her every day? They depend on her, Andrea. She kind of had a point. I'm not having it, either of you. I am so sorry, Strauss. I had no idea she'd be here. My forearm stopped bleeding as I walked back to San Francisco. It was the most difficult walk of shame in my entire life. I tried not to look at Strauss, but it was almost impossible. Then, just as I was about to step off, Strauss moaned, deep and metallic, swaying side to side. A man who must have seen me crying ran up. Did you feel it? It must have been a 3 or a 4. I didn't say anything. Are you okay? I looked at him momentarily, tears streaming down my face. I looked back at Strauss one last time. Am I okay? Why don't you fucking ask her? Strauss conveniently hid behind a cloud that just happened to be typical. So I kept walking. Huh. Maybe Marcy was right. Strauss really did want to connect people, but she had burned a bridge with me. I knew I could handle the millions of people that traveled over her every year, but hooking up with my sponsor, that's so uncool. I often wonder about Strauss. I hope she's well. I know there have been budget cuts and the big one's coming, and I just hope she's structurally sound. But I'm not responsible for her, and I can't change her. I'm sure Marcy Chrysler Hoover's moved on too. The last I heard, she was at a groundbreaking in Dubai. What a whore. Are we ever really in love? Any of us? Or is it just a made-up fairy tale in our heads that we project onto the objects of our desire? Love is dangerous. People disappoint you, but things are always there. I never thought these objects could hurt me. But maybe I was wrong. They did.